Hello and welcome to the introduction for this course. What you should know before you take the course: you should have a basic working knowledge of using a computer. You should also have a basic working knowledge of using the internet. Who should take this course? The course is designed for beginners to Python and Jupyter Notebook, also designed for beginners to coding and programming in general. What will you learn on the course? We'll start off by installing Jupyter Notebook. We'll then learn how to run the Jupyter Notebook server. We'll learn about some common Jupyter commands. We'll learn about the components that make up the Jupyter Notebook. We'll learn about exploring the Notebook dashboard. We'll explore the user interface within the Jupyter Notebook. We'll create notebooks. We'll look at Python expressions, Python statements. We'll take a look at variables and how to create variables in Python. We'll take a look at data types in Python. We will learn how to cast data types, that is how to change from one data type to another. We will learn about Python operators. We'll learn about conditional statements. We'll learn about loops. We'll also learn about Python functions. The format of the course is video based and the duration is 2.5 hours long. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. What is Jupyter Notebook? The Jupyter Notebook is an interactive computing environment that enables users to experiment with code, and it also allows users to share the code. The Jupyter is a loose acronym which means Julia, Python, and R. These programming languages were the first target languages of the Jupyter application, but nowadays the notebook technology also supports many other languages. The notebook is a document that can consist of live code, rich text, interactive widgets, equations, video, images, and so on. These documents basically provide a complete and self-contained record of a computation that can be converted to various formats and then shared with others. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be showing you how to install Anaconda and also how to set up the Jupyter Notebook. To begin, open up your Google search bar, and inside the search bar, just type in Anaconda distribution and press enter, and just select the first on the list. So I'm going to click on this one here that says Anaconda Python/R distribution. Click on that and that will detect the operating system you have. If you're running a Mac, it will detect you have a Mac. So I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here, and right at the bottom it will detect my operating system. So it has detected that I'm running a Windows based operating system, and it presents me with the Windows installer. As of the time I am recording this video, the current version is 3.7. When you do visit to do your own download, the version may change. Just download the most recent version that you see. So to download, I have under the Windows, there are two links, one for a 64-bit and one for a 32-bit. I've got a 64-bit, so I'm going to click on the 64-bit graphical installer. So you can see here is downloading on the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. I'll wait for that download to complete, and then I'll run the installer. The Anaconda installer has completed downloading, so that's it here. So to run it, I just double click to begin the installation. So it's trying to launch. Just click on next and then click to agree. And there are two ways you can install it. You can install it just for your user profile, which is the recommended one, or you can install it for all users. If you're going to use the all users, you need to have admin privileges. I just want to install it on one profile. So I'm going to click on the top option, which is going to install it just for me. So I'll click next, and then it tells you the destination folder where it's going to install it. Tells you the space required, 2.9 gigabyte, and tells me the space I have got available. So make sure you do have enough disk space in your designated installation directory. So I'm going to click next, and I'm going to accept this option here that's been checked, and I'm going to leave this one that is being unchecked. It says not recommended. So I'll click install to install. So we just wait for the installation to complete. So just going to give it a few minutes to run through the installation. Once the installation is completed, you will get this that says completed, and just click on the next button and click next. And then if you want to learn more about Anaconda in the cloud, you can leave that checked. I'm going to uncheck that. If you want to learn more on Anaconda, you can leave that checked. I'm going to leave this unchecked and click finish. Another way you can set up the Jupyter Notebook is by using the Python package manager, which is known as pip. This is recommended only for the experienced Python users. So before you set up the Jupyter Notebook using pip, you must make sure you already have Python installed, and then you need to make sure you have the most recent and updated version of the Python package manager, which is known as pip. And the way you can do that, if you are using a Mac, if you've got a MacBook, Mac comes pre-installed with Python version 2.7. So if you want to upgrade pip on a Mac, you will have to type in pip 3, which means that you are referring to pip version 3 and not version 2.7. So you do pip 3 on a Mac, space install -- upgrade pip, and that will upgrade pip. If you're on a Windows-based computer, you don't need to type in pip 3. Just type in pip install -- upgrade pip, and that will upgrade to the most recent version of pip. And then if you want to install the Jupyter Notebook using the Python package manager, you type in pip 3 if you're on a Mac, install, and then Jupyter. If you're running a Windows-based computer, you type in pip space install Jupyter. So if you are doing this on a Mac, you obviously have to do that on your terminal. If you're doing the installation on a Windows-based computer, you have to do this on the command prompt. For new users, it is highly recommended that you install the Jupyter Notebook via the Anaconda way, because if you install Anaconda, Anaconda will also install Python and the Jupyter Notebook. So let's take a look at what Anaconda has installed. We go to our programs menu and look for the Anaconda folder. So this is my Anaconda 3 folder. If I expand that, I can see what it has installed. It installed the Anaconda Navigator, Anaconda PowerShell prompt, Anaconda prompt, the Jupyter Notebook, which is what we are really interested in here. And then we've got this reset spider settings. So we can see here by installing Anaconda, it also installs the Jupyter Notebook. So that is it for this video. In this video, we installed Anaconda, and Anaconda also installed the Jupyter Notebook for us. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be showing you ways to start the Jupyter Notebook. You can start the Jupyter Notebook server from the command line. If you are using a Windows-based computer, that will be the command prompt. If you're using a Mac or a Linux-based computer, that will be the terminal. So once you've got your command line opened, you type in this command Jupyter space notebook, and that will start the Jupyter server. The other way to start the Jupyter Notebook server is from the All Programs menu in your Windows-based computer. If you go to the Anaconda folder within the All Programs, there should be an icon there for Jupyter Notebook. You can run it from there as well. Once the Jupyter Notebook server is started, it opens up the Jupyter Notebook in your default web browser, and it does that on localhost, and the port it uses is 8888. Let's launch the Jupyter Notebook from the All Programs menu on our Windows-based computer. So if you click on All Programs, go to Start All Programs, and there should be the Anaconda 3 folder. So if you just expand it, and inside there you see the Jupyter Notebook. So just click on this, and that will start. It will launch a console screen like this, and then it will also launch the Jupyter Notebook in your web browser. So this is what the Jupyter Notebook dashboard looks like once you have launched the Jupyter Notebook. And inside this dashboard area here, it gives you a list that shows a list of notebooks, files, and subdirectories in the directory where the notebook server was started. So if you're launching the Jupyter Notebook from the All Programs menu, it will start from the root directory where the Jupyter Notebook was installed, and it also lists some directories and subdirectories from that root directory. So your directory listing will be different from mine depending on what you've got in your specific directory where the Jupyter Notebook has started inside the root of your directory. Most of the time, you can start a notebook server in the highest level directory that contains notebooks. All right, this basically is going to be the root directory and can also be the home directory if you are on a Mac or a Linux-based computer. You can also specify the directory that you want the notebook to start from, and you do that by starting the Jupyter Notebook server from the command prompt. While the Jupyter Notebook is running inside the console area here, so if you look at the terminal interface here, the command line, it gives you a lot of information here. It tells you where the notebook is starting from. So it's serving the notebook from the local directory, which is on my C drive under the users directory and then under the profile administrator. All right. And then it tells you where the Jupyter Notebook is running at in the web browser, which is localhost:8888. To shut down or exit the Jupyter Notebook server, you just do Control-C on your keyboard, and that should shut down the Jupyter Notebook server. Once you shut down the Jupyter Notebook server, you will not be able to access the Jupyter Notebook on the web browser. You can see here, because I've shut the server down, you can see here it's not able to contact the server. I have shown you how to start the Jupyter Notebook server from the Programs menu on a Windows-based computer, which opened up the console and also opened up the notebook in your web browser on localhost 8888. I'm now going to show you how to start the Jupyter Notebook from the command line, which is the command prompt on a Windows-based computer, but the process is the same on the terminal. Notice that when you start the Jupyter Notebook from the Anaconda folder within the All Programs menu, it will start that from the root directory of your profile where the Jupyter Notebook was installed. When you're starting it from the command line, you can specify where you want it to start from. I've got a project directory here. It's an empty directory. I'm going to make the Jupyter Notebook start from this project directory. So to do that, I go to All Programs, and inside the Anaconda folder, we've got the Anaconda prompt. So this is what I'm going to use. So I click on the Anaconda prompt and I'll wait for it to launch. So you can see it tells me the base, which is, so this is the default where the Jupyter Notebook will start, okay, unless you change it. I want to change that to my desktop. So I do CD desktop, I press enter, and I do CD. There's a folder called projects on my desktop. So I'll just do CLS to clear the screen. So now I have navigated to this folder here called projects. That's where I want to start the Jupyter Notebook. So I just type in Jupyter space notebook and press enter, and it will start the Jupyter Notebook. You can see it's trying to start it. You can see here, because there's nothing in that root directory, that's why you can't see any subdirectories here, because the actual directory is empty. All right, and you can see here it tells me where the Jupyter Notebook is being served from. It tells you the path, the directory path. Always a good idea to pay attention to what's going on in the console in case there's anything that you are not sure with, or if it doesn't work the way you expect it. All right, so running the Jupyter Notebook from a specified directory is also useful for project-based stuff, so that if there's certain things you want to keep in a specific directory, then you can serve the Jupyter Notebook server from that directory. In this video, I showed you a couple of ways of starting the Jupyter Notebook. One from the command line, where you could specify a directory for the Jupyter Notebook to be served from. And I also showed you how to start it from the Anaconda folder within the All Programs menu of your Windows-based computer. When you start it from the Anaconda folder, there is a Jupyter Notebook icon that you can run, and by default it serves the Jupyter Notebook from the root directory of your profile. And when the Jupyter Notebook opens up, it opens up in your default web browser on localhost :8888. The port number is 8888. So that's it for this video on running the Jupyter Notebook server. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you some common and useful Jupyter commands. All Jupyter commands are prefixed with the keyword Jupyter before the sub-commands are issued. The Jupyter keyword basically is the primary namespace for all sub-commands. Let's take a look at a table showing some common Jupyter commands. So this is a table here, and we have some useful and commonly used Jupyter command. First one here in the table is the command to start the Jupyter Notebook. You just type in Jupyter space notebook, and that will start the Jupyter Notebook application. If you want to see all the available commands that Jupyter has, and you want some information as well, you just type in Jupyter space -- help, and that will show you the available commands that Jupyter has. If you want to see the location of the configuration directory, you type in Jupyter space -- config dir. If you want to see the location of the data directory, you type in Jupyter space data dir. If you want to see the location of the runtime directory, you type in Jupyter space runtime dir. If you want to show all the Jupyter directories and the search path, you type in Jupyter space path. If you want to print out the directories and search path in a JSON format, you type in Jupyter space JSON. So let's open up the command prompt in Anaconda and show you how these commands work. I'm going to illustrate how these commands work. So in my Windows computer, I'm going to go to All Programs, and I'm going to look for the Anaconda 3 folder, which is this folder here. I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to select the Anaconda prompt. I'll click on that, and that should open up this console, this terminal. If you're doing this on a Mac or a Linux-based computer, you can just do this on your terminal. So you can see here it says base. That is the base directory. That's where the Jupyter Notebook application will start from. So if I want to start the Jupyter Notebook application and I do not want the web interface to show, this is the command I would type. I'll type in Jupyter space notebook, and then you do a space no browser. What that means, it will start the Jupyter Notebook, but it will not show me the browser interface. So I press enter, and that should start the Jupyter Notebook in this base directory. But even though it gives me the location of the web browser interface, it will not launch it because I've said I don't want the browser to display. To shut down the server, you just type in Ctrl-C, and that will stop the server. So let's stop the server now that we have issued this command. So I just do Ctrl-C, and that will stop the server. Okay, so you can see I've done a Ctrl-C. It has shut down the server. All right, so I'm just going to clear my screen by typing in CLS so that I can type in more commands. The next command I want to type in is the help command. So if I want to see the available commands and want some information, I just type in Jupyter space help. If you don't want to type in help, you can type in -h. That will also do the same thing, and press enter. And you can see here it gives you some information about the Jupyter Notebooks. It tells you usage here, Jupyter Interactive Computing, and gives you some optional arguments. So very useful information. I'm going to clear the screen again, type in CLS so that I can type in more command. The next command I'm going to type in is to show the location of the configuration directory. So I just type in Jupyter space, and it will be --config -dir. I press enter, and that shows me my configuration directory. The next command, I want to show the location of the data directory. So I'll type in Jupyter space --data -dir and press enter. You see that shows me the location of my data directory. If I want to show the location of the runtime directory, I'll type in Jupyter space --runtime -dir. Press enter, and that gives me the location of the runtime directory. If I want to show all the Jupyter directories and the search path, I type in Jupyter space and I type in --path with an S and press enter, and that will show me all the path. Okay, it shows me the location of all the Jupyter directories and their search path. So you can see it's listed quite a few. The final command I am going to type in is going to be a command that will print the directories and search path in machine readable JSON format. So to do that, type in Jupyter again, space --JSON and press enter. You can see here it's giving me the path. So in this video, I've shown you some commonly used Jupyter commands. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we will take a look at the components of the Jupyter Notebook. The Jupyter Notebook application is a client-server application. A client-server application basically is a distributed application structure that partitions tasks or workloads between the providers of a resource or a service, which are usually called servers, and the service requesters, which are usually called clients. So the server, which is represented by this box here, is the resource provider. And then we have the client. In terms of Jupyter Notebook, that could be your web browser, because the Jupyter Notebook also has a web component, which is a web browser which will act as the client to the server. So the client will be requesting services from the server, which is the provider of the resource. In a client-server application, it can also provide resources to other clients, and clients can include other computers. It could be remote, and you can access the server, which can be remote, over the internet using different types of client, like your mobile phone, your laptop, or your computer device. The main components of the Jupyter Notebook include the Notebook web application. We also have the kernel, and then we have the Notebook documents. So let me give you a brief description of each of the components of the Jupyter Notebook. The first is the Notebook web application. This is basically an interactive web application that you can use to write and run your code interactively. You can also use it to author notebook documents. The second Jupyter Notebook component is called the kernels. The kernels basically are separate processes started by the Notebook web application, and it usually runs in the user's code, and it runs in a given language. The default language is Python, but it can run in other languages. And what it does, it returns the output from the Notebook web application back to the Notebook web application. And the kernel basically handles things like computations for interactive widgets, tab completion, introspection, and other bits and pieces. So the kernel basically interacts with the Notebook web application. The third component is called the Notebook document. The Notebook document is basically a self-contained document that contains a representation of all the content that is visible inside the Notebook web application. This includes the inputs you have and also the outputs which are produced from the kernel. Okay, It also includes narrative text, equations, images. It can also include videos, rich media representation of objects, and each of the notebook documents has its own kernel. So there is a kernel for Python, there's a kernel for other programming languages as well. So that's it for this video. In this video, I just gave you a brief introduction to the various components of the Jupyter Notebook. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to take a quick look at the Notebook dashboard. To begin, we have to start the Notebook server. So I'm going to be doing this on a Windows 10 machine. So in the All Programs menu, I've got to look for the Anaconda 3 folder, which is this folder here. And in there is an icon here for Jupyter Notebook. If I click to run this icon, it will start up the Jupyter Notebook server from the root directory where it was installed. If I don't want to start it from the directory where it was installed, I can use this Anaconda prompt command and then specify a directory where it should be started from. But for this video, I'm going to start it from the default, which is where it was installed. So I click on the icon for Jupyter Notebook and it will launch this Jupyter Notebook interface. You see, it launches the web browser and it also launches this here. So from here, you can see where the Jupyter Notebook is running at. It tells you it's serving the notebook from this local directory, which is C users administrator, and it will list everything in that directory inside the dashboard. So let's take a look at the dashboard. So this is what the Jupyter dashboard looks like. When you first start up the notebook server, your web browser will open to this notebook dashboard. The dashboard basically will serve as a home page for the notebook. Its main purpose is to display the notebooks and the files in the current directory. For example, the current directory it is showing here is this directory, C/user/administrator, and it will list what is got in that directory, which is listed here. Yours will be different from mine because what you've got in your directory will obviously be different from my directory. Okay, and then we've got the breadcrumbs at the top here, the top of the notebook list here. It will display clickable breadcrumbs. These are all clickable breadcrumbs of the current directory. By clicking on these breadcrumbs or these subdirectories in the notebook list, you can navigate your file system. So if you want to see any of these here, just there, you can see they are all clickable links to their respective directories. Okay, if you want to see what's running in the dashboard, you click on running and it shows you whatever is running at the moment. You can see there's no terminal running, there's no notebook running. Also, if you want to upload, you can click here to upload files and so on. It tells you here when these subdirectories were last modified. This little name arrow here basically is used to sort the list, the subdirectories in this list here. You can see the arrow is pointing down, which means it is sorting them in alphabetical order. If you want to sort it the other way, say from Z to A, you can see the arrow has gone up and it's flipped it and sorted it from Z to A. So I'm going to put it back. And then you can see here, this is just referring to the file size. If you want to quit the dashboard, you can click on quit or you can click on logout. I'm going to click logout and that has successfully logged me out of the dashboard. Okay. And then if I want to quit the server, I just type in this command here, Control-C, and that will quit the Jupyter server. So that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to take a look at the notebook user interface. When you create a new notebook or when you open an existing notebook, you will be presented with the notebook user interface. This user interface allows you to run your code, author your notebook documents interactively. The notebook user interface has three main areas. We have the menu, we have the toolbar, we have the notebook area, and the cells. I have got my dashboard open and I have got one notebook inside my dashboard. At the moment, the notebook is not running. So to run it, I'm just going to double click on it and that will run the notebook. So you can see here the notebook is running. It has now presented me with the user interface. So I'll start with the menu bar. This area here is known as the menu bar, and the menu bar has menus for actions on the notebooks, the notebook cells, and the kernel it communicates with. The file here basically is, you can use this file option inside the menu. You can use that to change the file name for the notebook. And then you've got the edit if you want to edit. You've got the view. You've got insert. It allows you to insert cells above or cells below. This here is called a cell. Okay, this border area here is called a cell where the code is. And then you have the kernel, which is running at the moment. We've got widgets, so you can save the notebook, the state of the widget. You can clear the notebook widget, you can download the widget and so on. And then you've got the help menu. Okay, so that this area here is known as the menu bar. And then we've got here, this line here is called the notebook toolbar area. Okay, the toolbar has several buttons for the most common actions. So if you want to see what each of the buttons do, just hover your mouse over each button for more information. For example, if I hover there, it tells you that is a save and checkpoint, and that tells you that's inserting a cell. This is cut selected cell, copy selected cell, paste, and this says move selected cells up, move selected cell down. This enables you to run the cell. This interrupts the kernel. This one restarts the kernel with a dialog, and this basically restarts the kernel. The notebook has mode indicators. Mode indicators basically indicate which mode the cells are, if they're in edit mode or if they are in command mode. You can tell they're in command mode if it's got a blue strip around the cell. So if you click here, if I click on this now, if it's got a green strip around the cell, it's in edit mode. So you can see here, this icon here tells you it is edit mode. If I click outside the edit mode, you can see now this is showing as the command mode. So it's very important to know that there are two mode indicators, which you can identify by the colors around the cell. So if you've got a blue color around the cell, that's a command mode, which means you can issue command. If you've got a green strip around it, you are in the edit mode, which means you can edit the previous code you've got in the cell. Also here inside the toolbar area, we've got this icon here, which is a command palette. So if I click on that, it gives you the command group. So if you want to use shortcuts for certain things, you can do that from here. All the navigation and actions in the notebook interface are available using the mouse through the menu bar and the toolbar. which are both inside the notebook area. So that's the menu bar and this is the toolbar. So you can use the mouse to navigate through the various actions you want to perform. To select a cell with your mouse, you just click on the cell and that selects it. And if you want to change the mode, for example, the mode at the moment is edit mode, you just click outside the cell and it changes the mode to the command mode. So that is it for this video. In this video, we took a look at the notebook user interface. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to be creating a new notebook. Before we create the new notebook, I just want to point out a few things. A notebook will have the file extension .ipynb. Also, a notebook consists of three basic type of cells. They are code cells, which will include the input and output of the live code that runs in the kernel. And then we have the markdown cells, which are narrative text that contains embedded LaTeX equations. We also have the raw cells, which include unformatted text. Also, notebooks can be exported to different static formats, which include HTML and PDF. Before we can create a notebook, we have to start the server. So the Jupyter Notebook server, I'm going to start it from a specified directory. I've got a directory on my desktop called My Notebooks. It's an empty directory at the moment, but this is where I want the Jupyter Notebook server to start from. And any notebook I create will be inserted inside this directory. So to begin, I go to my terminal, I look for my Anaconda folder, and then I'll click on this that says Anaconda prompt. This will give me the prompt, which will give me the default location for Anaconda. And I'm going to change that to start from my desktop. And on my desktop, I'm going to change directory to a folder called My Notebooks. All right, and I'll just clear the screen. So now I'm in the directory to start the Jupyter Notebook server. I just type in Jupyter space notebook, and that will start the Jupyter Notebook server in that directory I have specified. All right, so it's trying to launch the Jupyter Notebook. So this is the dashboard, and you can see the dashboard here. This is the root directory of this directory on my desktop here. That's what the Jupyter Notebook dashboard is pointing to. It's empty at the moment because there is no notebook list. There's nothing in that directory. So to create a new notebook, there is a new option that says new. You click on this new button at the top here, and all these are called kernels. So whatever kernels you see here depends on what's installed on the server. All right, so these are my available kernels, and I'm going to click Python 3 because I want to create it in Python 3. So it's going to open up a new cell. This is what is called a cell. And if you see here, the default cell is a code. All right, and if I click on the drop down, you can see there are other types. There's a markdown and there's a raw NB convert, but we're going to leave the default, which is code. So I'm going to click on it, and this is where you can write a live code. So I'm just going to type in print and just say hello world. So I've just typed in a simple print statement that's going to say hello world. And to run this cell, you can click on the run button here, or you can you can do Shift and Enter. Okay, so I'm going to click Run, and that will run the cell. You can see here it has given me the output of that cell. So we notice here the notebook is untitled at the moment, so I need to give it a name. To do that, you double click on it, and I'm going to call it Hello World. And then I'll click on this rename button, and you can see the name of the notebook has changed. If you want to see the notebooks that are currently running, you can click on your home screen here, and you can see this is running. You can tell that it's running because it's got this green icon next to it. I've only got the one notebook at the moment, but it's possible to have multiple notebooks running at the same time. Also, while the notebook is running, there is a box here you can check. If you check on it, it gives you some options. You can duplicate the notebook, you can shut it down, you can view, you can edit, and you can also delete. So I'm just going to uncheck that box, but you see those options when you have the box checked. If you have it unchecked, the options disappear. If I take a look at my projects directory on my desktop, you can see here that it has saved the notebook. This is the notebook here with the extension IPYNB. It has saved it into my projects directory. If you have other notebook files, you can also upload them using this upload button, or you can just drag them into the notebook area here in the dashboard. The notebook shows the green icon when the notebook is currently running, and notebooks remain running until you explicitly shut them down. Closing the notebooks page is not sufficient to shut the notebook down. So if you want to shut it down, you click on this check there, and then there is an option to shut the notebook down. Notice I've shut it down and the icon now is no longer green. So that is it for this video. In this video, we created a new notebook. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video on what is Python. Python is a general purpose programming language. This means it can be used to write computer programs for various things like games, data science, websites, and so on. Python is also a high-level programming language. High-level programming languages mean that the languages of writing computer instructions in a way that is easily understandable and close to human language. Python is portable, which means we can run Python programs in the various different operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, Linux without any changes. Python is an interpreted language. Python is called an interpreted language because it goes through an interpreter, which turns code you write into the language understood by your computer's processor. Python is strongly typed. Strongly typed languages don't convert data from one type to another type automatically. Python has a huge set of libraries. A Python library is a collection of programs you can incorporate into your own program without writing code for them. Let's take a look at a list of application types you can create with Python. Web applications. These are applications you can access using a web browser. Android applications, These are applications that runs on Android devices like Android phones and tablets. Games. You can create various types of games with Python. Scientific applications. You can create various types of scientific applications with Python. System administration applications. So you can use Python to create applications to monitor various types of systems. You can also create console applications. A console application basically is a computer program designed to be used via a text-only computer interface. Let's take a look at a list of software applications that have been created using Python. So some of these are quite famous and popular. First on the list is YouTube, and then we have Google, we have Dropbox. This program lets you save files to a cloud-based service that you can then access from anywhere in the world. We've also got Reddit. Reddit is one of the biggest open communities on the web. You have a question you want to talk about, something in specific, or if you want to find tons of information regarding a particular topic, for example, gardening or anything, you can just look on Reddit and find related information. Next, we have Spotify. Spotify allows you to listen to ad-free music of your choice. This is a streaming service that allows you to stream music without any advertisement. Finally, we've got Instagram. Instagram is very popular. It has both an app side and also a web site as well. And these are just a few list items of software that were created using Python. There are so many others, but these are just some few that you may have come across. So that is it for this video on what is Python. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome. In this video, I will introduce you to high and low level programming languages. What are high level programming languages? These are languages that only humans can understand. So computers can't understand them unless they are compiled or interpreted. They need an interpreter or a compiler for the computer or the machine to understand what the programming is trying to get it to do. Examples of high-level programming languages include Python, Java, C#, C++, PHP, Ruby, and there are many others. What are low-level programming languages? These are languages that only machines can understand. They do not need an interpreter or a compiler. They are closer to the computer hardware. Examples include machine and assembly language. This is a brief illustration of high and low level languages. So you can see the nearer the language is to the hardware of the machine, the faster it is, and it doesn't need to be interpreted because it's so close to the computer hardware. Whereas the further away it is, like we've got these lot here, they are further away from the hardware, so they're easier for programmers to understand because they contain English related words, but not machine to understand. So for the machine to understand what this block here is saying, it needs to be converted into machine code using a compiler or an interpreter. Key differences between high-level and low-level programming languages. High-level languages are easier to learn. Low-level languages are more difficult to learn. High-level languages are near to human languages. That's easy to read. They are like basic English. While low-level languages are far from human languages, so only machines know what they are talking about. You need a translator, like a compiler or an interpreter, to convert a high-level language into machine language. No translator is needed for low-level languages because the machine hardware knows what they're talking about. Programs written in high-level languages are slow in execution because obviously they have to compile or interpret them, while programs developed in low-level languages are much faster in execution because there's no compiling or interpretation going on. The hardware understands the language, so it's easy or easier to execute the instructions. So these are the key differences between high-level and low-level programming languages. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going